Good afternoon. It's Friday, July 24th, and this is your Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division Merchandiser Minute. We saw a lot of good improvement in the soybean and wheat markets this week, with corn faltering just a little bit. We had the August soybean market grow about 6 cents throughout the week. It opened on Monday at $8.98 and closed on Friday at $9.04. The November soybean market saw a 3-cent growth also. It closed at $8.99 today. September corn was down 7. It closed at $3.26 today. The Dees contract for corn was down 4 cents overall. It closed at $3.35 today. Our real shining star was actually wheat. It ended up closing today up 8 at $5.50. And a lot of that movement comes from exports that were not expected. So that's been a really interesting turn that we've seen this week is on our export sales. Exports for soybeans, wheat, and corn have all been higher than expected this last week. So that's some really good improvement. China actually bought the first 2 cargo shiploads of wheat in an extended period of time. So that has been some really valuable improvement to stabilize the wheat market. Another interesting thing that came up is acreage in soybeans across the United States has really increased. Part of that is coming out of South Dakota and Michigan, and a lot of their prevent plant acres are coming back online from last year. In terms of exports relative to the recent years, we also have the largest number of new crop soybeans on exports on the books since 2014. So that provides a little support to that soybean market, even though the number of acres is expanding. In typical fashion, we really see the middle of the country working on exporting versus the peripheral states. So Virginia is a really big one on that. Looking at marketing their new crop bushels to processing plants and users and such. We really see a lot of that here with a lot of feed mills. So that's been something that is nothing new, but it has been a drastic change in this last week, seeing where those exports and buying's going. In terms of corn rail, freight is remaining really strong. It's increasing actually a little bit, which here in Virginia, we see that as almost like a positive deal because then truck basis becomes a little more competitive against that rail as rail gets a little more expensive. So the more we can convince end users like feed mills to buy our truck grain, the better for us. We're seeing an increase in producer selling of old crop. I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. August is coming in quick, and people are trying to get that out of the bin. So that's been interesting. Our next thing to watch, though, has really been weather. Also, another thing that we don't never stop watching in agriculture, but about 19% of corn acres are actually in drought zones. On the map, the only really area that they consider of concern in Virginia is a piece of northern Virginia, but I do know rains have been spotty. We're hoping that the storms that they're predicting out of the Atlantic will give us a little sporadic rain here in the east and the south. Really, weather and season have appeared on the bearish side, but China's buying recently has been up, and that's really been supporting the market. Like I said before, we saw a lot of strong export sales in numbers of new crop. And another supporting factor has been that South America has been really dry. A lot of people have heard that a Brazilian port actually caught on fire this week, and that's also slowed down a lot of their exporting, which we never like to see that in agriculture, but it has been an improvement to us. Kind of back to China, we have seen a lot of more of the political saga going on, fighting here and there about closing down ports. China did buy over 400,000 tons of pork from the U.S. in June, and that was drastic improvement. We're glad to see that. We know they're still working on improving their pork, and it's kind of funny how that feeds in because we want their pork herd to grow so we can sell more soybeans, but we also want to see some movement in a lot of our meat markets. Off of that, a lot of processing facilities are really working to increase safety in their facilities by trying out new ultraviolet technology and increasing air functioning. And I'll be interested to see how that works. I heard that on that news report from the Washington Post, Tyson was claimed to be on there, and so that should be an interesting aspect for our area. What we're really going to be looking for next is the crop progress report on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, the next WASDE is August 12th at 12 p.m. Feel free to call into us at any time. We'd love to help you market your goods, and we hope you have a safe weekend.